Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the show today. Today we're going to be getting into a lot of kind of celebrity Hollywood stuff. But we usually cover entertainment stuff here at Night Owls. But nevertheless, happy to have you with us. Please do us a favor and go over and hit the share button. You can hit the like and subscribe too if you'd like. But definitely hit the share button so we can have as many people in here as possible. I'm going to do that myself. Hopefully you all had yourselves a good weekend. I know that I had a very peaceful, nice, kind of easy weekend. I did go up and have myself a little bit of fun in the city, which is rare for me. We an actual full weekend off is what I had, so I'm happy about that. Hopefully you guys did stuff too. We got Roger in here, Lady Celtic Moon. Hello. Jiminy says we're looking at you, Night Owls. Well, thank you, Jiminy. Um, are you cheating on Aaron LaPlesty? Hey now, hey now. I'm the first love, buddy. What are you doing? Right. Anyway, we do have Thundero with us. He is currently indisposed, so he'll be back in a minute, I'm sure. But I'm just over here hitting that share button right now, and hopefully you are doing the same. Today we got the world we have today. The thing, kind of the theme I put up for today is really narcissism, and the amount of just they can yeah, I haven't been heard from in a while. People aren't paying attention to me, therefore look at me, look at me, look at me. We all know it's a thing. It exists in the world. If you have children, you know it's where it comes from. But it is kind of shocking to me how everyone's got to get on board. And I'm kind of wondering if it isn't getting to the point that doing that is actually going to start to backfire on you. But nevertheless, we're here to have a laugh at those things and just kind of wonder where their logic has gone. And that's one of the problems, of course, we have today was so much logic has been lost. Nevertheless, for waiting for Thunder to come back, I think I'll just go ahead and get into it. And I always start with the board game stuff anyway. So fair enough. Let's do that. Alrighty, here we go. All right, let's get this all back up. Oh, perfect. Alrighty. And here we are. Now, today I wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about because I always start with board games. It's one of my passions, and I want to talk a little bit about old board games and how long they've actually been around. Now, if you go and you check on old or ancient board games, you're going to see a lot of talk about some stuff that's not really that old. And I don't know why they didn't do their research, but this website here allows me to kind of look at the old stuff. It took me a while to find one that actually was kind of accurate, so that's why I was a couple minutes late. I figured it'd be easy; it'd be one search, but actually no, I had to kind of go through it. But let's take a look here. Now, um, board games have been with us for a very long time. Matter of fact, we have no clue exactly how old they are because when I get here to the oldest one, and we take a look at what time frame that is, and you see how developed it was, it'll make you wonder how far back it actually goes. Let's get into this here. Now, chess is being thrown at us as being at 600 AD. India, possibly China. It's definitely India, but it's not coming from India originally. It's originally coming out of Egypt. But this game has been with us much longer. That's actually a couple thousand years older than this website is putting. But the what you would recognize easily and immediately as chess, I guess we can throw at the Indians, and well, that's about 1400 years. So you see, it's a very old game. It kind of left up out of India after coming out of, keep in mind that India, what we call Mesopotamia today, and Kemet or Egypt, those are all very interactive with each other. Their ancient stories talk about them all kind of being from the same family, royal families. Anyway, we don't really know, but so they were definitely incestuous in their in their cultures, and therefore it just kind of flowed throughout that. But then it came out, it went into Asia, and it went up into Europe, and they became distinct. Of course, you recognize the chessboard today in Europe quite easily. If you go to Japan, it's called shogi. Looks very different. However, it is exactly the same game. So, good old chess. All right. We have Nine Men's Morris here, which is pretty old, once again being thrown at Egypt. But Egypt was kind of one of the first cultures, Mesopotamia as well, where they had leisure time, right? When we look back at the Middle Ages and things like that, we see, those people had some off time, but they were pretty busy, involved in maintaining and surviving their life. There wasn't as much leisure time. But back in these mega cultures of the ancient past, they had plenty of it. And therefore, gaming is something that comes up out of it. This game has been developed in many ways. I'm not going to spend much time on it because it has a better representation later. Go, of course, if you guys any played on this is definitely a Chinese game. Does it have some Western influence? Probably. This is probably coming out of a similar Turkish game, actually. But Turkey actually had a huge influence, not on only on the West, but also on the Far East. But that's a conversation for another day. But if you've never played Go, I suggest you give it a try. It's a lot of fun. It's different than your average classic standard board games, and you can get a Go board for super cheap, man. Here in Japan, of course, it has become a very major game. They play it here more than anywhere, I'd say, even though it is technically a Chinese game. We got the Royal Game of Ur. Now, I've played this game myself several times, and this is Mesopotamian, and it's they're putting it at 2600, 2400 BCE. It probably is much older than that. It probably has origin in Egypt, other than Mesopotamia itself. But nevertheless, this is an interesting game and how you play it. It's actually fun and quick. You'd be surprised. But this is a game that these days, the past, I don't know, less than a decade, but let's call it a decade, you can actually start buying these again. You can go and get them on Amazon and things like that, and they're not too expensive. Of course, they make them out of plastic these days, where in the past they were beautifully created and etched and carved things. This one right here is super old, but it's a fun. It's actually quite a fun little game. And then, of course, we have this one, which of course became Mancala, which you guys have probably heard of, which is another really, really old game. Backgammon. This one is one of those that we don't really know the entire history of. It's probably much older than that. Once again, it's having a lot of influence coming out of that united region from India all the way down into Egypt. But a lot of people would kind of probably assume that backgammon is a more modern game. It's actually quite ancient. It's fun too. I haven't played backgammon since I was a kid, though. Are you guys into backgammon? I wonder if Thundero's back yet. Nope, guess not. This is actually quite a bit of fun game. I enjoyed backgammon. Um, Checkers. Now, I don't know about this one. Because this is kind of going with I guess they're seeing an evolution coming out of the game of Ur. I don't know. It is old though. It has been played for a while. These kind of movement games are super old and they've been around with us for a long time. But I'm not going to spend much time on checkers here. The last one's the one I really want to talk about. Now, Senate. I actually have played this game a lot in my life. I actually went to the point of I enjoy woodworking. I don't know how much I've talked about that over here. It's just a hobby. I'm not particularly good at it. But I actually made my own Senate board, and I made an Egyptian style one. This right here is a more modern look at it, but they used to have legs on them and little drawers and chests. So it's a little thing. So it's actually a piece of furniture sits in the room, and you can put two chairs on either side and play the game. Now, Senet and the Game of Ur are very similar. I would say the Game of Ur is a modernization of it. I know that's ancient thing to say. It's very ancient, but I think it was in Mesopotamia. However, this is certainly the older game. Now, here's the thing about Senet. You see here the date they're giving you is 3500 BCE, which that's almost 6,000 years ago. That's a pretty long time. But if you go to some of the ancient, carvings and tombs and stuff like that, you'll see that not only did the royals play this game, but also the common people did. Because, like I said, Egypt was one of those cultures that had leisure time. People would enjoy going to a cafe, or, of course, they didn't call it that, but or just downtime. So this was actually widespread game. It wasn't just something the royals played, which some of the earlier ones were really for the richer people. There's also some interesting games that come out of Scandinavia that are pretty ancient, which are very related to chess and checkers. But Senate, I have seen something at this age here, but it was so well developed picture. If you look at it, it's beautifully carved, beautifully accented. It was just a gorgeous piece of furniture that was in the room that had a game board on top of it, and which tells me this game is much, much, much older than this, right? We don't have any evidence or anything like that to show, because a lot of this is made of wood, so they don't really necessarily survive well even in the desert. However, the development it has at this period of nearly 6,000 years ago is far too advanced to not be much older. How much older, I don't know. But it gives us a really interesting understanding that if you have a culture that has downtime, leisure time, these kind of things come to be. And I have an interesting little anecdote myself. When my son was quite young, I don't know, he was 5 or 6, he was a little kid. And I collect board games, as you know, and I play them with the family. I think they're great for teaching social interaction, using your brain, things like that. Well, he wanted to make his own game. So he went out and he collected some rocks and some shells and just a bunch of knick-knacky things. And he took a marker and he painted them up. And he sat and developed his own little game out of his own mind, and it worked. I mean, you could play it. I mean, obviously it would take development, but he was just a little kid wanting to make his own board game. And I think it's interesting because, like I said, he was very young, 5 or 6 years old, but yet he had the wherewithal to want to create his own game. And I think it's very much a human thing. But I just want to talk about these a little bit today, not too much. It's uh, it's an interesting part of our history, gaming. Whether it be playing cards, which are developed out of China, or board games themselves, or dice games, or what have you. Humans have been finding ways to entertain themselves for quite a while, and I think it's pretty cool. Now, of all these games, the one you probably have never seen or played, or even heard of, is the Senate, or the the later evolution of the game of Ur. I would suggest you go get one of these. You can go on Amazon. You could buy it really cheap. It's just like as cheap as buying a cheap chessboard or a cheap checkers set, right? Get one and play it. It's actually a lot of fun. It's a game that's very easy to play but hard to master, which is neat, right? Because what you're trying to, the board isn't set up here right, but you have all these spindles and stuff that are set up, and you're trying to remove them and move them off the board. It's that kind of game, but you can pick these up, man, really cheap, and I suggest you go buy one. Try it out. It's quite a bit of fun. It's a quick little game to do. You can play it with just 2 people, of course. But I've also seen this game played with 4. You can do that as well. Anyway, let's move on here and get into today's news. Thunder, are you back yet? Let me just check on him real quick and see if there's he's having some mic.
I am.
He is. Okay, good, good, good. Alrighty, well, let's get into it. Unless you have any comments on ancient board games.
I do not.
Okay.
Brand new short film from Toho uses Suitmation to mark anniversary of Godzilla versus Hedorah.
Okay. Now, I don't know how many of you grew up loving Godzilla or Gamera like myself, but it's just a fun thing from childhood, right? We watched the original Godzilla here, the Japanese one, not the Milton. It wasn't Milton Berle. Yeah, well, I don't think it was. I think it was another guy. But whatever. The American one was a bit of a travesty, in my opinion, after seeing the original. But that's not a kids movie at all. But during the 70s, Toho went into more of a kids audience, which is awesome. And I found this article interesting because they do have a short coming up here in November 14th, I think it is. Let me check real quick. Uh, they told us when it was. It's in November sometime. But anyway, and it's going back where everyone is in suits. There's no CG. There's none of that, right? And they're like, "Oh, it's a great thing," and it is. I think it's why not? It's just fun. But here's the thing, though. Japan never stopped making costume stuff, so I don't really know what they're talking about. But I guess it's cool.
Sounds
They're
like sounds like bad marketing to me.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because I guess Westerners might not realize it, but here in Japan, this kind of costume, guys in rubber costumes, it's never stopped. It's still going on a weekly basis, right? Things like the Power Ranger or Go Rangers, Five Ranger type style shows, Kamen Rider, of course. These things still doing that. It's never ever stopped. I'm not complaining. This is a positive article, and I think it's great. Keep making fun things, Japan, please. Don't listen to the negative Nancy's of the West, and just have some fun, right? But what
Yeah,
what do you think of going to the old kind of hokey rubber costumes versus the ultra CG?
I prefer the rubber costumes. CG. I'm tired of watching animated movies pretend like they're not animated movies because
Yeah,
that's what
right.
they are.
That
They're
is what they are.
basically just cartoons at this point. And I
Bingo.
think we need to return to practical everything.
Yeah, and they can do it pretty well. I mean, Japan has mastered this. Perry Mason, man, that's right, Raymond Burrow. Thank you very much, Dave. But yeah, that I mean, just not to get sidelined by that, but if you have not seen the original Japanese version of Godzilla from the 50s, not the Raymond Burr thing. I mean, it's really a travesty, dude. Nothing against Raymond Burr, I love him. But go watch the original Japanese. That shit will move your ass, man. It's impressive movie, dude. Ultraman's another good example, Roger. And keep in mind that Ultraman, even though they've redone that in a CG animation, Thundera is 100% correct on that. Ultraman is an updated version in that CG though, in that animated show, which is fun because Ultraman is full on a kids show. I mean, we're talking like preschool, kindergarten type of show, right? It's not even
Yeah.
like uppers of junior high. It's meant for little kids, um, and that's fine. It's most of these costume things for little kids. But well, what is your favorite of the this kind of thing coming out of Japan? There's so many examples.
Um, I mean, obviously Godzilla, but I would say my favorite has always been the Power Rangers shows,
Yeah,
especially the
that's your
old Mighty Morphin
generation.
Power Rangers. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And that's still going on strong here. Of course, they don't call them Power Ranger; they call them Go Ranger, which Go
Yes.
means five, right? and
Yes.
That format's been going on. It's still happening now. Like I said, it's meant for little kids, I don't know if you've seen them, but these rubber costume things, they've gotten really good at it, man. It's quite impressive looking what they make these days. But yeah,
Yeah, they look really good actually. I've seen some that you wouldn't even know. Like you don't wouldn't know it's a rubber costume at all.
yeah. The problem is when they get jumping and spinning around, they kind of wobble in the wind, right? That's the real problem. But Matt, what do you got to do? And they can get away with it because it's really meant for little kids, and little kids don't have that discerning eye, right? So it just becomes emotionally encapsulating, and it's quite a lot of fun. And like I said, my kids loved that stuff when they were little, and why not? But because it is coming up in November, I guess is Godzilla month. I didn't know that existed, but cool. Everybody's got a month now. Godzilla, why not? God damn it. But they do have a new short coming up, and that's great. I'm going to look forward to checking it out. It looks like they're going to drop it here on the YouTubes, which is neat because we know how Toho is. They can be a real pain in the ass, dude.
Yeah, they're really annoying about their copyrights.
Yeah. But Japanese are litigious to the nth degree. Yep. Brett S says more costume kaiju for sure. Yeah, why not, dude? Let's see here. CG could have been better, but has been crap where Godzilla was concerned. Those three CG Netflix movies were trash. Yeah, I didn't care for those much either, but I think it was more about the story than anything. But I'm not knocking these new Godzilla movies that came out though, which of course those are CG fests, but they were genuinely fun though. Especially the monster stuff. I think the first movie, if they had not killed Bryan Cranston off and left him alive, that movie would start be. You would have to start talking about that movie in sense of, wow, that's a really great movie, not a good Godzilla movie, just a great movie. You know what I mean? But I mean, who made that choice to take frickin' Bryan Cranston, the hottest ticket and the best actor you have, and kill him in the first third of the movie? Whose genius thinking was that?
Just utterly stupid.
Goodness gracious, some of the things these people do, it's like, what were you thinking, man? But anyway, they're all entertaining. But it's interesting to me that this headline is about the rubber suits. And like I said, that has never stopped here, man. It's been going on continuously. I love the American version too, despite its being neutered. But yeah, the original is way more powerful. Yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, you can enjoy the first movie, sure, but the Japanese original movie is powerfully emotional. I don't even know how it's true. I mean, you've seen the original Japanese, right?
Yeah, we watched it together.
Yeah, we did. I thought so, yeah. And it's damn it, dude, it just shut us up. It silenced us. You could hear bated breath. It's such an old movie, and it's literally a guy in a costume, dude. But it was impressively powerful. Guys are talking about the Guyver. Did you ever enjoy the Guyver series?
No, I never saw it.
I'd suggest if you like Power Rangers, you probably should go watch it. It's more of an adulted up, a little bit more serious storytelling than Power Rangers. You might like it.
Cool. Yeah, I've said on here many times that I think you take the Power Rangers concept, you can actually do something with it other than make it a kids show.
Yeah, yeah. It's still got some kiddie elements in it, especially the second one. But yeah, no, it's yeah. I really think if you're a Power Ranger fan, you would enjoy Guyver. I enjoyed them quite a bit. They're fun. And Brett, you're right. Cranston was an early victim of subvert my expectations thinking. Yes, he was, and it's still stupid now. But Hollywood doesn't care what you think. Have you not noticed? hmm Anyway, let's move on here. But that's fun. That's fun. I don't know how much more fun we're going to have, but I thought we'd start fun. Board games and Godzilla. I mean, come on. You know, here we go.
Kevin Feige promises Eternals Festus is just the start of gay characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Okay.
Yeah. He
Uh,
said that. He said that 5 years ago too.
yes, he
That
did.
that was the shift.
Yeah. All women and gays. He said it very clearly. He wasn't lying. I didn't think he was. It was disappointing to me because you guys know here, I certainly defended Feige for a while, or a lot of you guys were like, "It's coming, it's coming, it's coming." I was like, "Well, he's done a pretty good job. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt." Well, we gave him the benefit of the doubt, and here we are. So I was wrong. I see. I can admit it, Thundero. But this story is connected. I put this out here just to kind of reiterate, Kevin Feige's obsession with this because it gets worse. It gets much worse. Go ahead.
Eternals director Chloe Zhao says no point in including gay Fastus family if audience don't feel it.
Now, this is a very interesting point of view from her because, of course, she's right. I don't know that there's many things I would agree with this lady on because she's clearly a Hollywoodite. This article is interesting because you just saw Kevin Feige. This is just the beginning. He's going to push it more and more and more. And let me give you an image of what the beginning looks like. Okay, because she said when she came on board to be the director of this, the treatment was already done. It was already in place, and she had no say in that. So,
Yeah.
unlike most movies where a director is brought on from the beginning so that they can work with the writer and they usually go through a few writers till they're happy with it. That whole process was not done here. She was brought in as a lone gunman type of thing just to get it done. She can make films. We know she has the ability to do that. And does he look gay? He doesn't look very gay to me at all because it gets worse. This man here, this chubby, bald black fella. Nothing against him. I got the chubby going on too. I'm a husky boy. Not only is he gay, not only is he super gay, he somehow has a kid. Don't know how, but he's got a kid, and she's going through. And I don't think she liked being forced into doing this because she doesn't think that the script has been written well enough for you to be emotionally involved in this aspect of the character because they're really really pushing it, and she thinks that, as she said here, she doesn't think the audience is going to buy it because not only does he have a lover, he gets himself a kid. His lover, his technical wife, because all the Eternals are split off, is Angelina Jolie. So I understand why you might want to go gay. We have the little boy here, which is playing the kid. I don't know what that is. I don't know who the male lover is. It's probably a human. And of course, Jesus, Angelina. I mean, she's really out of control, dude. But whatever. But here's the thing. This is a Marvel movie, right? It has a sex scene in it,
Hmm.
a gay sex scene with that guy.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going to have a sex scene, I kind of want it to be sexy people, right? I mean, at least handsome people. And there's plenty of dudes that you could throw into a sex scene. It's not going to work for us, but I mean, you would think at least that. But this is your dude. You're getting a sex scene in, and it sounds like it's not just a little kiss or just to kind of kiss into the sheets and it goes black. You know that type of very standard thing Hollywood does. It's a sex scene. And she had a lot of problem, it seems, in this article, making it tasteful. Now I'm going to let Thundero take that statement and run with it.
There's nothing to say. I'm not going to be seeing this movie, and anybody who watches a Marvel movie that gives Disney any money at all is a simp and a cuck, and you get what you deserve.
Oh wow! See, there you go. See what you did. See what you did, Kevin. But yeah, it's bad when your director, who is absolutely woke, doesn't think it's going to work, and she's happy to say it ahead of the movie coming out. Damn, damn, dude. Right? And
And
it's
and how funny is it that she's of probably Chinese descent with a name like Zhao?
Oh, she definitely is. As a matter of fact, she's from China and she can't go back there because they will execute her.
Yes.
They hate her guts. CCP does. But which makes her a hero, I guess, of some in some weird way. But yeah. So it's first of all, why is there a Marvel movie that is having a sex scene anyway? I mean, if you think about it, the most tantalizing thing we've seen, or titillating thing we've seen in a Marvel movie is Scarlett Johansson wrapped in a towel having an uncomfortable conversation with Bruce Banner.
Yeah,
I mean, that's it, right? That's the extent of it. But no, we're going full on sex scene, right? And she
because
has,
these people are degenerates, and degenerates like to put their degeneracy in front of children.
yeah, yeah, they do,
That's why.
they do.
And it's
So
because they're broken, and people like that, in my opinion, should be Epsteined because there's no fixing them. And the people who run Hollywood, I mean, we all know who runs Hollywood and how they
bunch of
are,
creeps, dude.
what they are. And I mean, Weinstein was just a tiny little piece of that massive iceberg. Um, and he was actually one of the least offenders, to be honest.
Well, clearly he pissed somebody off. He stepped over a line and he got
Yeah,
burned for it. That's they only get in trouble when they step over a line. That anytime you see a celebrity or a politician being arrested or something like that going on, it's because they stepped because otherwise they wouldn't get in trouble, right? We know this.
yeah.
We've seen this clearly, right? We all know that there are two sets of rules. Um, and Homicide Life on Sesame Street, yeah. And let's see here. I got a couple of comments I should probably get to. Um, you can take Sesame Street and make it something other than kiddie fair. It doesn't make mean you should. That's right, Joe. It doesn't mean you should. But like I said, keep in mind that this is the beginning, according to Kevin Feige. This is
Yeah.
just the foot,
No,
the
it isn't.
toe in the water, right?
First of all, that's not true. And second of all, Disney's been promoting degeneracy for 30 years. And second of all, it doesn't matter. No one's going to see this movie. This
No.
I would be surprised if this movie makes 400 million worldwide. It would be shocking to me if it does. There's no buzz around this movie. There's no hype for it.
Yeah.
They have a whole bunch of washed up actresses that they think are going to draw that never drew even when they weren't washed up.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's
just
true. Yeah.
this movie is going to be a train wreck from beginning to end, and anybody who expects otherwise is a deluded person.
Yeah.
Now, there are people out there who will do everything they can to convince themselves that it's not. They will talk out of both sides of their mouth. They will do everything in their power to make it seem like this thing
Oh yeah.
wasn't as bad as it is. Kind of like some people do with Captain Marvel. Uh, no, this is going to be worse than Captain Marvel, and this is just the start. It's going to get a lot worse. And the MCU, unless Chapek puts his foot down and stops Feige, is going to become a full-on intersectional feminist propaganda vehicle with no breaks. You're going to see everything that the people in the world have clearly shown they don't want to see. You're going to see all of it. And they're not going to stop. They're going to, I guarantee there's even going to be weird pedophilic stuff eventually. It's
Oh
not going to stop as long as
yeah.
people keep giving Disney money.
There already
Disney
is.
is the problem. Marvel's not the problem. Marvel's just doing what they're told. Disney is the problem. And until people realize that and stop supporting them, it's never going to get better.
That is true, Elrod. That is absolutely true. It's a separate issue, a separate problem. But you're right. Um, Brett says, "Damn, was planning on pirating it. Nah, now I don't even want to do that. Nah, dude, stay away. Yeah, stay away, dude. It's 100 years of great movies. I've got no time for cardboard cutouts. Disguised as movies. That's fair, dude. I do have Netflix because my kids use it quite a bit to watch. Over here in Japan, Netflix Japan, there's a lot of anime, and the kids watch that. But they also have old movies, and I've been finding myself rewatching old stuff quite a bit because the new stuff's crap. I do have to watch some of the newer stuff because my wife is still endeared to watch them. But every newer movie we've watched, she keeps saying, "Is America mainly black? Is there like 60, 70% black?" I'm saying, "Yeah, you would think so. Yep, you would think so." But anyway, this is crap. Joe says, "Why did Frank Miller have Wonder Woman and Superman create earthquakes with their sex scene in The Dark Knight Strikes Back? They should have. You're right. Um, you do realize that in the Chinese, not excuse me, the Japanese creation myth, Izanagi and Izanami, male and female, are actually come down to Earth, and their love making is what creates the islands of Japan. Right. In one story, there's another story. It says they just dipped a naginata, but well, whatever. But yeah, that has been thought of before. hmm God's
Mm.
making land, but their love making. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's move on from this. But God, Angelina looks like such a train wreck, dude. For God's sake, woman. But she's always been a weirdo. It is what it is. Let's move on here. Now, I thought I'd just drop this in here. This is what's called entertainment. There's no headline to read here, Thunder. I'm sorry. But I thought we'd take
Mm.
a look at what entertainment is. This is entertainment online, been around since I was little, literally, right? So this has definitely been going 40, 50 years, this entertainment corporation, whatever it is, entertainment news. But I just thought we'd kind of scroll through this page and see if there's anything actually entertaining here. First of all, who is this prostitute?
No idea.
Yeah, yeah. Well, she's definitely she's going to Drake's 36th birthday party. Now, my wife does watch some of the Billboard 100 stuff on YouTube, and as a musician, it's kind of offensive to me because it all is in the key of A, and it all sounds exactly the same. I mean, you literally could
Yep.
just shuffle through it and it sounds identical. It looks identical. And this is interesting. I mean, pop music is always pop music. I mean, come on, let's be fair. If you go back to the 80s, pop music is pop music. It's not intended to be this masterpiece of, virtuosity, right? It's not the point. Boy, at least back in those days, pop music was different. I mean, there was different styles, different keys, different tones, and it's like, what the hell happened? Everything's being written by computer, I guess, because it's all identical. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, I have. That's why I don't listen to it. It's why I don't like female singers because most of them are pop singers and they all sound the same.
Yeah, but we
They
used to
sing
have
in
some pretty cool singers back in the day.
yeah, they sing in the same even the same octaves. Like there's almost no difference other than slight variations in the sounds of their voice that you could interchangeably replace most of them with ease and you wouldn't really even notice the difference. And the same goes for male pop singers too. Pop music's garbage. It's been garbage for a long time. It's swill. Even my nephew, who's only like 18, is like, yeah, I can't listen to any of that crap. It's garbage. I'd much rather listen to old music because it's just trash. There's no substance to it at all. It's
Yeah,
made like in a factory basically, and it's just corporate shilling nonsense.
yeah,
And it's hollow
it
is the
is.
best way to
It's
put it.
vapid. It's the word. It's
Yeah.
vapid. But my the thing I'm going for now, singers, female singers particularly, have always been they've been whoring themselves out for quite a while.
Yeah.
That's not a new thing. But at least it was sexy. I mean, if you remember old Britney, right? Britney Spears. I mean, she had a fairly good voice. She's a Disney kid. She could definitely sing. She had the experience to get on stage and entertain, and she was a mega hit, right? I've never seen her live show ever. I've seen little clips of it on other news shows. And I've heard a couple of her music. It's catchy. It's not so bad. And she certainly did the whole hoeing up thing. But at least
Hmm.
it was appealing. That is a hoe. That right there is a hoe. And trust me, I worked 12 years as a bouncer in the sex industry. I know exactly what a hoe is. That's a hoe. So why are the hoes now getting paid millions to be hoes? When did that happen?
I don't know.
I mean, you can see the difference
Uh,
between this and Britney. You understand what I'm saying, right? They're both
yeah,
they're both whoring themselves out. Fair, but it's different. This is trashy, dude. Is that
pretty
the
rough.
thing these days to be a trashy hoe? Is that the thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can thank all sorts of different TV shows for that, including shit on Disney. But yeah, absolutely. The the in thing is to look like garbage. You go to stores in America and you'll see these pretty young girls and they're dressed like they're just literally just rolled out of bed. Like they're in just pajamas and literally in slippers and just
Yeah.
walking around like trash. Like they look like low end trash, gutter
Yeah.
trash.
Well, we had that in the '90s with the grunge kids. So I guess it's just fashion is fashion. I'm not going to
Yeah,
be
but
an old dude griping.
At least the grunge kids wore clothing. They
Yeah.
didn't wear pajamas everywhere. They didn't wear not like whatever the hell that's supposed to be. They
Uh,
actually put on clothes. I mean, yeah, it was grungy clothes, but it was still clothes, right? It was still
yeah.
pants and a shirt, and at least it looked like they put a little bit of effort in. Nowadays, it's people just wear. Well, I say people, pretty much women, just wear pajamas all over the place. They wear sweats everywhere. But you have women with large breasts walking around without bras on, and it looks like trash. You look like trash.
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
They do. Dumbs the Name says modern pop music is auto-tune garbage with the same beat and melody for every song. That's true, but it's much deeper than that. It's not just auto-tune. The layers of
Yep.
artificial synthesization that's going on with their voices is kind of shocking to me. There's so
Hmm.
much going on. It's so bad that you don't even know what they really sound like. That's
Right.
how much computer artifacts are in those songs.
And some of them actually are good singers. They're actually incredible singers, but wouldn't know that because they bury their actual voice in under a bunch of
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah,
And that's one of the biggest tragedies of it because a lot of these young girls, and they are young, very young, are talented. They actually do have singing and vocal talent,
which is good.
but then they get thrown into this mixer, this blender that is this corporate system, and it just buries it, and it just strips away all of the uniqueness and the purity of their voice. Because I'll tell you right now, when you find someone who is a genuinely great singer, male or female, and they hit the right song, it will stop everything.
Yeah,
It
that is
just
true.
that is how powerful
It's true.
music
Yeah,
is. And it doesn't always come in the prettiest packaging. Often it does, but it doesn't always. But just someone who has the power of song, genuinely has it, can literally stop whole groups of people, whole countries can just stop.
yeah, no, no,
Boom.
music is powerful. That's true. And that's my point of comparing it, guys, to the '80s pop because pop is pop. Let's be
Yep.
fair. It's pop music, which is kind of drivel in and of itself. But
Yep.
they certainly were more artistic about it than they are now. Now it's just completely commercial corporate crap, I guess. And Joe wants to know what's the difference between her outfit and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman did it better.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And
This
Wonder Woman is
is
actually wearing more
and
than
yeah,
that.
but this is pretty trashy stuff, man. Like I said, you see Britney on stage, she's barely basically naked, but it just seems to have a little more class to it than this. This is a streetwalker, dude.
Yeah,
And this
she looks like a whore.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this is coming from someone who knows that world. I spent a long I know what a whore is, dude. I've seen a
She
lot
looks
through
like
them.
she's about to go on stage
Yeah,
and strip.
yeah,
That's a
it
stripper
does.
outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um
listen, the Britney Spears thing isn't better either. Like she was a very young girl,
oh, they hoard
16
her
years
out
old and
hard,
stuff.
dude. Yeah, they did.
Poured her out hard and broke the girl. Her
Yeah, they
mind
did.
shattered for a
Yeah,
few years.
yeah.
And I guess I don't know what the status is of it now, but she's been trying to get the ability to basically be her own person because her father has conservatorship over her because her mind broke. She went nuts. She had a breakdown from all of this nonsense they put these people through and all the stress of it. And it's not healthy. It's not healthy that these people are held up as idols and revered in a society where we have a massive gratitude problem.
Yeah. Well,
It's
you
just
see
not
the
healthy.
no, and you see the issue with like Miley Cyrus too. What happened with her?
Yep.
Another Disney kid. And but Drew Barrymore conversation. Anyway, Luca Sabat. Okay, well, I don't think that's your real name, brother. I really don't.
Could
Okay.
be.
And no, it's definitely not.
That's
Angelina,
the prettiest she's looked in years.
yeah, no, yeah, but she still looks like a skeletal zombie alien.
Well, yeah,
Uh,
but she's at least covered up in a drape, so you can't really see
It's
that part.
true. You can see in her, look at her hand and arms, dude. Look at her wrist connection here. That's scary shit
Yeah,
right there, dude.
yeah.
But Shawn Mendes, I don't even know what a Shawn Mendes is. Okay, just another scrawny little pop singer, I guess. Oh, what the hell? All right, well, she has some skin issue. All right, fine.
At least she's wearing clothes.
Yeah, well, I don't, the skin issue I don't give a shit about. But it is kind of thrown together. Maybe that's the style, just thrown together. Yeah, I don't care much about the fashion. I'm not going to sit here and critique that, but this is whatever. It's fine. Um I don't even what are you doing here?
Well,
Ricky Martin? Ricky?
Ricky's wearing clothes. He's got on clothing. We can give him that.
Okay, Ricky. What are you doing?
I don't know
What
about the boots and the shorts, though. That's a combo.
Yeah, I
Rick, I
know.
don't know what you're doing,
What the
bud.
hell is Christina? Christina is a good example though, because for years Christina was singing stupid ass pop music, just dumb ass
Yep,
shit. And
garbage.
then she came out with an album where she actually sang, and you realize it's one of the greatest singers of that generation. What a
Yep,
waste. Another example, Daryl Hall. Hall and
yep.
Oates. Daryl Hall is an absolutely insane level singer, but he was doing that pop crap, and it was all hidden underneath it. He if you go see him now, he's still singing, and he's amazing, an incredibly a gifted singer. And yeah, I get the Daisy Dukes, dude. I'm not having a problem with Daisy Dukes. It just I get what Thunder is saying. It's very thrown together.
Yep.
But whatever, that I don't care about that. That's fashion, and it's okay. This is very different than the first one we looked at, right?
But
Um,
Chester, I have to ask you: is it okay? Would you be okay if your daughter was strutting around like that?
um,
Like it looked not so much the revealingness of it, because that's to me that's far less important. And Daisy Dukes was more of a cultural thing. They
it
were trying to
was.
represent the way women dress in the South, and they do dress like that. Or just in the country where I grew up.
It's hot.
But yeah, because it's hot. That's why. Um, but would you be okay? Yeah, just be honest. If your daughter put no effort in her appearance, or at least tried to make it look like she didn't, because that's what they do. They go to great lengths to make themselves look like slops.
Yeah, no.
It's weird.
Seeing as my daughter is a bit of a fashion plate, it would shock
Yeah.
me. Uh,
Yes.
it would shock me. Yeah. She does care way too much about that, but she's a girl. It's okay. But yeah,
Yes.
no. The revealing this aspect is, especially with that last one, didn't bother me much.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't bother
just
me at all.
weird looking. But I'm not going to critique fashion. I'm an older guy, and what do I know about young
Well,
people's
come on.
fashion?
Look at this outfit. Are you telling me you're not? You don't have nothing? You
Well,
got no opinion?
she's my generation, right? Uh,
Shit.
and she is falling apart, as we know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is a shame because Christina, you know how often and how incredible her delusions are.
Yeah.
And she is delusional. Do not be mistaken. This is probably the greatest female singer of that generation, dude. It's her singing ability is quite insane. And I hear so many people going on about Demi Lovato.
Oh no,
And
Demi Lovato's trash.
yeah,
Um,
she's very pitchy. She doesn't have control. If you go listen to it, she's always, hey, 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 that kind of crap to make you think she's doing something impressive. She's
mhm.
very pitchy, dude. She's not controlled.
So that like mid 2000s is what you're talking about, late 90s, mid 2000s, that era.
Mm,
You're probably she's up there for sure. There was quite a few young ladies who actually were decent vocalists when they were allowed to be, but you just never got to hear them do
right,
that
right.
because the corporate masters made sure of it.
Yeah, no.
I would say right now in the pop genre, the best singer is Adele, female singer. She's
Um,
head and shoulders above everybody
she's
else.
a good singer. She is. She's annoying, but she's a good singer. But Christina's a whole nother league of thing, dude. They're
Think
not
so?
even. Yeah, no, musically. I'm coming from it musically. I don't care about the fashion. I don't care about how popular the song was. I don't care about any of that. Musically, The ability of Christina Aguilera is generational. That's
Hmm.
how rare she is.
She
And
really
trust
like
me,
it.
I
She
don't
really
like
likes
this
Christina
woman.
Aguilera.
I don't like her at all. She's a horrible human being.
What about go back a little further? What about a Whitney Houston? Where would you put her against Whitney Houston?
She's better than Whitney. She's more in the
Really?
category of Aretha Franklin, Mariah Carey.
Now Aretha, I'd say she's on her own level personally. That's me personally. I just that woman's
I
voice
would put
is so
Christina in
moving.
her category, dude. I would musically.
Really?
Yeah, musically. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow, what did you hear? I gotta hear what you heard because
yeah.
I've never heard that to
Yeah,
put her
you
up
need it.
there.
She put an album out where she said, "Screw this pop shit," and she just went and started singing, and it was impressive, dude. Another person who's in that category, which probably nobody here knows, is Sarah Vaughan. If you've never heard Sarah Vaughan, go listen, because that is just God gifted that woman. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, Christine is definitely in that category. I know it's weird. Like I said, she wasted her whole career on crap, but her talent is insane. It's deep. She can emote like nobody's business, and that's where Aretha gets you, right? Is in her emoting,
Hmm.
right? Christina's definitely got that. Whereas Whitney Houston is more like Adele, really solid singer, really
Mm.
solid pop singer. And and they probably, those types, well, like Adele and Whitney Houston, they probably enjoy better financial success than these true divas, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
because they're more mainstream. I'm not taking anything away from Whitney, even though she was literally a crazy lady.
Oh yeah.
But
Psychopath. Yeah.
psychopath. But it's a different category. Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, I don't know what she's doing, dude. Oh, okay. These are normal. Alrighty, that's normal. Uh,
I think you've angered Grimlock a bit.
I'm sorry, Grimlock. From a musical point of view, she is. You might not like her. You might prefer Whitney stuff. I probably would prefer Whitney stuff too.
I
She's
would
made
have
so many
to
hits.
hear whatever because I don't obviously I'm not a big I'm not a big fan of Miss Aguilera's.
No,
So I would have to hear what you heard because I've never heard her
yeah,
be up at that level.
and
She's a good. I'm not saying she's not a great. She is, but Whitney and Aretha to me are just a league apart for as far
yeah.
as pop
Well,
singers.
we love Whitney
Yeah,
because she's so endearing, and her craziness in itself is endearing as well. You kind of have
yeah,
pity for Whitney Houston when you understand who she is as a human. And so we love Whitney. We don't love Christina because she's a spoiled little bitch. I mean, fair
yes,
enough, but you have
and
to,
she knows it.
and she knows it. But you have to take that stuff and you got to separate it, close your eyes, and just listen to the music, right?
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I've been in the music, performing and playing music for what, 46 years, and I've been
Mm,
doing it professionally for nearly 40. So,
yeah.
I have a trained ear, right,
Mm,
for that, and maybe I'm overstating it because I'm not putting the emotion, I'm not putting the endearment or any of those things involved. Because if you do that, Whitney way wins, right?
yeah.
I'm just looking at it from musicality. But Zoe's always been a little weird like this. But okay, these guys are a little bit older now, and I don't know. That's a cute couple. What do you think?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Channing's a strange guy
Oh,
because
we're gonna
he's
get into
still
Channing.
Channing's still famous, right? He's still a famous
Is
dude.
he?
People know him, especially ladies still think he's just the bee's knees. Yet, what has he done lately? Like he was in the Free Guy movie, but he wasn't even credited in the Free Guy movie, if I remember correctly. Uh like he was, but not as like a main star,
He's
not top
banging
billing.
Zoe Kravitz. Does he need to do any more?
Yes.
I don't
To
know. Think
have
so.
the amount of clout that his name somehow still generates, which isn't much, but it's still more than it should. I mean, he hasn't had a successful film that I can think, unless I'm just completely forgetting something
No,
that
no,
I
he
can think of
hasn't.
in a half a decade at least.
He's just living on the
Uh,
old hype. You're right. And Dave, you can leave now. Bye, Dave. freaking Sinead O'Connor. Are you fucking kidding me? All right. Let's but at least that's normal-ish. What is this? What is happening here? Addison
Oh,
Rae
oh
and
boy.
Charlie XCX. I don't know who they are. I have no clue who they are. Not a clue.
Addison Rae sounds like a porn star.
Yeah, it
Uh,
definitely looks like a porn star
and the
too.
other thing looks like the name looks like a medication.
Yeah.
Charlie XCX. So
Although
we
the
got that
Charlie
going.
girl looks a little more normal. It sounds like they're TikTokers or something. But once again, this
Here's what I
lady,
want to see. I want to see the world, all of it, every last bit of it. I want to
oh,
see
okay.
both men and women start dressing well again. I'm
That would be
talking. I
neat.
want to see. I want to see men
Yeah.
bring back hats. Why did we stop wearing hats? Hats are awesome.
Heating, air conditioning improved. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
fine.
don't. Yeah, listen. I want to see men. We'll find a way. We got the technology to put air conditioners in the hat. I don't care.
I wear a hat every day, dude.
Well, yeah, you're an old man, Chester,
Thank you.
and you're in Japan. They kind of that's kind of a thing there. But yeah, I want to see the hats come back. I'm not saying we got to go back to full on suits. We don't got to do all that. But a nice button-up shirt, nice collared shirt, nice little hat. Doesn't have to be a fedora, but something. Not a ball
Yeah.
cap.
No, me too. But I tend not to want to comment on fashion because every generation is trying to find their way, and it's cool. I don't care about that. I get your point. I personally would like to see it. And Comic Book Bob says he did the talk about Channing Tatum. He did the voice of Superman in the Lego Movie. So there you go.
Yeah.
Let's see. Joe Jonas. Oh, one of the Jonas brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At
Okay.
least he's wearing clothing.
Yeah, but he looks
At
like he's
least,
a junior high school kid.
well, he basically is compared to you, Chester. I don't know how old is Joe Jonas. He's got to be in his early 30s, right? He can't be too old.
I'd say mid 30s. But
Yeah.
I don't know that it just doesn't seem to be much fashionable. Well, whatever. I don't know. That doesn't. But it's just maybe he's just out for a day. Nothing big. This is better. I don't know who Little Uzi Vert is. He wants to kill someone. It sounds like. But I mean, he's been dancing around. He's all sweaty, but I don't mind this look. It's not bad.
Yeah. It's
Not
better
bad.
than pajamas.
Yeah, this is fine. And I don't know who this lady is, but normal. Looks like she's going to Bible class. I don't know I don't know who any of these people are.
At
It
least
looks
they're
like
wearing clothes.
at least the fur. I guess the fur has come back on us here. Okay. I once again don't know who you are. Who's this thing? What is that?
Kim Kardashian? You don't know who Kim Kardashian is?
God no. What is that? I've heard the
Are you
name.
serious?
Oh, I've heard the name. Um,
Japan is a whole other world.
Jesus, what the hell is that?
You want to know what the problem with our society is? You're looking right at patient zero.
Yeah,
And
no, I
I'm
know
not
she's
being
famous for
hyperbolic.
simply being famous. I get that.
Well,
Uh,
she's famous for a sex tape, but yeah.
oh, is she?
Um,
Okay.
yeah. The whole look in the being, looking like a streetwalker thing. There you go.
Yeah,
That's where that came
I
from.
don't get this combination, but okay, you go, Miss Thing, I guess. Machine Gun Kelly, you're not dead yet? I thought for sure you'd be dead by now. Okay.
Nope. Nope.
I don't know why you're wearing a cardigan. All right, but that little baby girl's all about you, dude. It's all about you. All right. That's very no. Olivia Wilde. Haven't seen her in a while. She's too old now. But she was kind of wasted. They could have done more with her. She had a kind of very interesting, sexy look, man. They could have done more with her. I think she came up in a bad time, really.
Hmm.
Because if she came up in the '80s, we would have seen a lot of her. You know. Alrighty, moving on here. Let's see. Usher. Usher still alive? I thought he'd be dead for sure. My wife used to be a big fan of him, but it's okay. It's a little over the top, but what do you want? No idea who you are, dude. You look like you're should be driving a giant Ford truck. Okay. I really don't know who any of these people are, though, dude. I don't
You know who
recognize
Gabrielle
any of
Union
them.
is?
No, they. Oh, okay. Now that she's doing that
Horseface.
intentionally. Yeah. Okay. Um,
Horse
Adam,
face.
what are you doing, Adam? Jesus, dude, get a grip, Adam. Um, Justin Bieber's still alive. He's still doing
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. And
Really,
look, he's wearing too much clothing now. Now we're going the other way. He's got on 4 different layers for some reason in L.A. I don't understand it.
Chris? Why are you walking around barefoot in Hollywood? Are you out of your freaking mind?
In what appears to be boxer shorts? What is?
Maybe he's in front of his house. They caught a pic when he was just doing something outside. All right, well that's normal. Uh, Ryan's pretty
See,
normal.
look at Ryan. Look at Ryan. He dresses like a human.
He does.
Like a human being right there. Nothing offend, just a nice simple little outfit and every woman in the world wants to have sex with him. It's just that easy when you're Ryan Reynolds. It's just that
Yeah,
easy.
it is. I don't know what that is.
That is
Haley, I
Justin
don't know.
Bieber's wife.
Is it? Is he married?
Yeah.
Why bother?
I don't know. I don't know why a rich young man would get married, but he did.
No idea who this is. Your knees are knobby as hell, though, girl.
Yep.
Yeah, Haley. Okay. At least it's a little more. I just don't know who these people are, dude. Let's move down here.
You
Um,
know Jason Momoa
I
and
recognize
Zendaya.
him. Is that Zendaya?
Yeah,
Okay. Alrighty
from
then.
Dune. And
She's
I think
tall.
that's the guy who plays Paul in
She's
Dune.
taller than both of them. Okay.
Mhm.
More people I don't know. My God, Ed Sheeran. Why has someone not shot him yet? Um, oh my God. I give him props. He busted his ass for years and years and years trying to make it, and he finally did. So good on you. But Ed Sheeran is not all that, dude. Not at all.
Ladies
Uh,
love him though.
Whatever. Yeah, my wife included. Anyway, are you bored yet? I'm pretty bored. I'm
Yeah.
fairly bored. But this is supposed to be entertaining me. What happened?
These people are boring.
Yeah. Let's move on here. Something fun. I wish Booster were here. He'd like this news.
Nintendo delays release of Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp.
Okay. Now, you guys may or may not know this game. And it doesn't matter. It's just a little fun, little cutesy thing. It's no big deal. It was quite popular though. But the thing that I want to talk about with this is here you have a company that's pushing back their reboot launch. And do you know why? Would you like to know why they're doing it? Would you guess?
I don't know. COVID?
It's not done. It's not ready yet. It needs a little more tweaking, and we don't want to put it out until it's right.
Yeah, Nintendo at least tries to make
Yeah.
quality still. Um, they're just not for me. Most of their games they're just too cartoony,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I can't get into them. Unfortunately, but the people who do love them, and you can't deny that they're still seemingly anyway put quality before everything else. They want to make sure their stuff is
Yeah,
sleek,
I'd agree.
smooth, it works.
And that's the conversation. There's so many companies, especially AAA, that put out
Yeah.
crap and they're like, "Ah, we'll get to it in a year or so. Shut up, gamer. Give us your money."
Hmm.
That's the attitude. And I just I saw this and that's what came to my mind. Good on you, Advanced War. I did play this game, and it's a fun little thing. It's no big deal, but it's not the point. It's put out good product, and we see so often this stuff comes out and it's so broken, dude. We have
Yeah.
Cyberpunk 2077. We're a year later
Yeah.
now after the launch, and it's still a mess.
Yep. And I don't think it's getting better.
No, it's not. It's burned.
I think it's done. I think the greed of the executives at that company just pretty much killed that company because I'll never buy a game from them again. Never. It'd have to come out and be pristine when
Yeah,
it comes out
they
and be a
screwed up.
masterpiece at a level greater than The Witcher 3 before I would even consider giving them a dollar.
And I don't even know why they pushed to come out at that time. They clearly weren't ready. They had said before that they weren't ready. Just sit on it, dude. Your Witcher series is making you money every day, and you don't have to do nothing. Just sit
There
back
are
on it.
more people who play The Witcher 3 today than who play Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh, easily,
Still.
easily.
And Witcher 3 is 6 years old. I don't get it. I don't get it. Here's what happened with that game specifically is because the way that Western, well, I guess they're technically an Eastern company, but makes games. If they run a lot of these companies run like sweatshops, and the high talented people will only put up with that for so long, right? They'll get in there, they'll make their games, make a couple here, there, whatever, and then once they hit it big with the high value, a really good game,
Yeah.
they move on. They get a better offer with less hours or whatever, and they move on to somewhere else, or they open their own company or whatever. That's what happened to them. They lost something like 50% of the people who worked on Witcher 3 in the 5 years after Witcher 3, and that would explain Cyberpunk 2077 because you can't just lose high talent people, and people like that don't just grow on trees making these kind of games.
It's true.
So the fact that they lost so many people is why that happened. Nintendo, on the other hand, some of their creators have been with them. I mean, my God, my whole life, probably your whole life almost, Chester. Like they have had, they're not a revolving door, is what I'm saying to you. They retain really good talent fairly well, or they at least keep a working relationship with them so that they
Yeah.
can come back and do what they need to do. Whereas these other companies don't do that by and large. They are a revolving door, and they let
Mhm.
high talented people leave because they don't treat them well, or they don't do this thing or that thing or whatever. Largely because these companies, they get publicly traded like CD Projekt Red did, and now that all that matters is making the shareholders happy, not about keeping your employees
Right.
happy or keeping your customers happy, your fan base. As long as the shareholders are happy, the executives get their bonuses,
Right.
and
Nintendo's been always
that's what
been pretty
happened.
good about that. That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, the thing with Nintendo also is they're always the innovator. How is
yep,
that true? But it is. They're always
pretty
the ones
much.
that are
Yeah.
innovating the space. Whatever. I just put this up here because more, please. I don't. Maybe the young kids have zero patience. I don't know. But I'm okay waiting a few years for a good game. I'm cool with that. I got other
I
stuff
think
to do.
had I think had Cyberpunk just come out in 2022, like one of the designers recently said that he thought the plan was it would have been fine. It would have been pretty much everything we expected it to be, and probably a fantastic game.
Yeah, they
Since it
clearly
didn't,
pushed it way up, dude. They clearly
and it
did.
came out at minimum, it came out a year early. I'd say probably 2 years is about accurate. We got what we got.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't typically do that, from what I understand. Like I said, I'm not a big Nintendo guy. I don't even own a Nintendo system, and I haven't owned one since God, uh, GameCube. It's probably the last one I owned.
Mm.
But I can respect them, and I do respect them, and I wish they were the standard bearer for the industry, and they were the big dog in the industry instead of Microsoft and Sony,
Yeah.
because they have a commitment to, I guess, excellence would be the best way to put it, where they don't want to release trash, even though their fan base would forgive them for it because they're rabid. They don't want to release trash, and that's good. Now that doesn't mean all their games are good, but for Christ's sake, at least they play. At least you can
Yeah,
play them.
that's the problem. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. And you're pissing people off, man. That's what
Yep.
you're doing. You're just pissing people off. And of course, another problem with Cyberpunk game is that over there, whoever's in charge of the edginess,
Yeah.
thinks that just lots and lots of dildos is edgy.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, dude. You want to see edgy? Go watch Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's edgy.
And the worst
Not
part is the writer, whoever wrote the script for that game, the script is good. It's not a badly written game, and it does get into much deeper stuff like Blade Runner does.
yeah.
But in order to get to that, you have to go through a whole lot of nonsense,
Mhm.
and that is the problem. And I think it's just such a shame. It's one of those things where it's just such missed potential because it's all right there. All of
Yeah.
the right ingredients are there. They just didn't cook it long enough.
They didn't, and it's unfortunate because you and I have been talking about for a while where cyberpunk is something that really desperately wants to be a thing
Yep.
in this modern time, and I agree. And but we keep getting these poor hits on it, right? If you think about, Akira is certainly the kind of one of the inceptions of it, to be sure. At least the building block. Another building block, of course, is Ghost in the Shell. And they came out with the live action with Scarlett Johansson here not so many years ago. And I rewatched that movie recently just to give it a second chance, just in case, right? And I was more angry after watching the second time. Um, that movie is cowardly.
Yep.
They are cowards. The people who made that movie, straight up cowards. And it has nothing to do with cutting the naked falling from the top of the building scene either. Nothing to do with it. Honestly, Scarlett's a bit old. I don't think I need to be seeing her naked ass. And she was all kind of chubby in that suit anyway. They should have cut that scene, that day one as soon as they saw her in it. That's not the point. That is a cowardly movie,
Hmm.
and I shan't forgive them. I shan't.
You shan't even.
Now, moving on to sad news.
Yeah. You say sad. Alec Baldwin issues statement after discharge. This is very interestingly worded. After discharging a firearm that killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins. I think that's how you say her name.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Uh, that is weasel word to hell,
Of
Mr. Trent.
course.
What are you doing? He
Yeah,
didn't.
well,
It makes it sound like he just touched the gun and it just went off,
I think
right? Like he just.
copying someone
Oh.
else's headline is what he's doing. Yeah, no, let's get into this a little bit. Now, this wouldn't be much of a conversation if it weren't for the fact that Alec Baldwin is such a rabid anti-gun person,
Yep.
right? Keep that in mind. However, Mr. Schneider, Bo Duke, he came out with a very clean statement the other day, yesterday, I think. But here's the thing: um, how in the world was there a live gun, or I guess as
Yes.
Hollywood calls it, a hot gun? Why was there a live ammunition or a live gun on a set at all?
Period. Any
Period.
bullets whatsoever. I mean, the guns, often they'll use real guns, but they'll make sure, they do things to make sure it won't shoot properly, or, they just use blanks or whatever. So there's no excuse for live ammunition to be on a set. Especially, it's not like it was a Hollywood set in like a Hollywood studio where there's security who might be armed. No, no, this was the middle of freaking nowhere in like New Mexico where they were
Yeah.
filming this movie.
Yeah.
Why is there armed? And most likely, now I haven't seen what the gun was. I maybe that's out what kind of gun it was or whatever. I haven't seen that
Probably.
yet. But
Yeah.
most likely it was like an old Western style revolver because they're shooting a Western, right? That makes sense. Why was that type of ammunition anywhere near the set?
Yeah, why was it anywhere near it? That's the question. It sounds like this production was having a lot of trouble. Keep in mind, he is a producer, so he is
Yes.
culpable. It sounds like they were having a lot of trouble. People walked off for safety issues already on the set of this movie, whatever this movie is. But it is weird because Hollywood has very, very stringent rules in regards to guns on their sets,
Yes.
overly, stupidly stringent, and I don't blame them. But here's the thing from me. This is a tragedy. It's clearly. I mean, there's no reason that woman should be dead, and the director has a hole in him. He's at least
Yes.
he's alive. There's no reason, right? So it is a tragedy. Enough said, right? But here's the thing. I don't know how many of you guys here have used guns. I grew up with guns, hunting and stuff
Yep.
like that. And when people grow up with guns, the first thing they teach you is gun safety. It is
That's right.
number one thing. I was a Boy Scout, gun safety, right? We shoot guns in the Boy Scout, or at least we used to. And if you actually were trained in guns, Mr. Baldwin, you would know that the Hollywood idea of your finger on the trigger all the time is not how you hold a gun. The way you
Correct.
hold a gun is your finger straight out. That's how you hold a gun, whether it be a rifle or a handgun, doesn't matter. The resting position of your finger is not on the trigger, right? And this is the problem with a lot of these anti-gun activists is you're taking away the concept of gun safety. Because trust me, anyone who's ever used a gun normally and not some stupid gangbanger, gun safety is important, and you never disrespect the gun, ever,
That's right.
ever, ever, ever. And these idiots like this, of course, they have no respect for a gun because they don't know shit and they disrespect it anyway. Now I don't know how this situation all played out. It will be investigated. I guarantee that. But
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
it should be. Of course, nothing's going to happen to Alec, most likely, because
And
he's who
it
he
probably
is.
shouldn't.
No, it
Right?
probably should.
Yeah,
It
lawsuits
absolutely
will
should.
come,
He
I'm
was
sure.
he was the producer on the film. He's probably the most experienced person with firearms on that set, at least in his capacity as a producer, because he's 70 years old. He's been acting for 40 years. He's had plenty of movies where he's used firearms. He knows the rules, and he knows how to, or at least he should, how to handle them if he's done that many films. So, yeah, there's culpability here. And rule number one of every gun, all the time, doesn't matter who gives it to you if it's your own mother. If you have not cleared that gun yourself, it's loaded.
Yep.
That is how you treat it.
Yep.
He knows that. There's no way
You
he
would think he
doesn't
would know
know
that.
that.
Well, clearly not, dude.
No,
Right.
I think he does know that. I think he's just an arrogant, negligent piece of shit.
That's
And
probably
he
true.
killed
Yeah.
he murdered a woman with his
Yeah.
negligence.
With his negligence. Roger wants to know the difference between this one and Brandon. Brandon Lee situation was they had an actual blank prop gun. It's not a prop gun, but it's
Yes,
a blanks, and there was
blank
a
bullets.
blank that was caught in the barrel, and
Yeah.
they fired another blank, causing that to become an actual deadly projectile.
Yep.
So that was negligence as well, but that was not a live gun. This was a live
Correct.
gun with real bullets, and it's like,
Which, again, I need to know, and everybody should need to know, and her family and every single person involved in this, including Mr. Baldwin, should need to know how that happened. How in the hell did a
yeah,
bullet get on that set? Any bullet,
why was it on
not
the
just
set
the
at
ones
all?
for this. Yeah, there's no excuse for that to be on the set unless there's one or two things I can think of that this is just obviously speculation. They had them there because they knew they were in the middle of nowhere, and some of them were shooting just for fun, right? Just as a they had the old guns and they
I
were
think
just
it probably
shooting them
was
off
something
for
like
fun.
that. Yeah,
Or two, when somebody walked off the set, they did it to scare them. They did it as like a, yeah, we'll load one of these guns so when he shoots it, it scares the shit out of him type deal. That's the only two things that make any sense because otherwise somebody had to actually maliciously do this. Had to maliciously
yeah.
either set him up or he did it and kill this person. That's the only other alternative because there's just too many barriers for a real bullet to get into one of those firearms
Right.
for him to be able to shoot it at somebody.
Yeah.
Like the amount of failure that would have to happen in sequence is mind-boggling.
Well, it's easy that we could be being lied to.
Yep.
That's very easy thing to understand. But in the end, we know who's going to get blamed. It was Pablo.
Yes.
Pablo did it. Poor Pablo. But
It's such a tragedy. It didn't have to happen,
it
and the
is a
only reason
tragedy.
it did happen is because you had a whole bunch of people who have no business around firearms. Hey, Mr. Baldwin, you know all the people you complain about, all those crazy gun nuts? Guess what they've never done, most of them? The vast majority, over 99.9%. They've never accidentally shot somebody because
Yep.
they understand that a gun's not a damn toy.
We won't talk
And if
about
they
Shane.
pointed at any, well, that was probably intentional too. If they pointed at anybody, they're doing it to destroy them. That's rule number 2. You don't point a gun at anything you're not prepared to destroy. Rule 3 is keep your hand off the trigger till you're ready to fire.
Yeah.
It's real simple, and he doesn't get a pass just because he's an ignorant actor. He's 70 years old. He shouldn't be ignorant.
Yeah,
Period.
no, I'm curious to see how it plays out. We'll probably never get any truth out of it, but it's a very sad thing, and it's something that simply should not have happened. It's something that should have been impossible. A
Yes.
Brandon Lee situation happening again, I imagine it probably will happen again.
Yeah, I
But
did
this is
actually.
very different.
Like the last 5 years or so, somebody. I don't think they died, but they did get shot by a blank.
Yeah,
It projected, like it was like a rock or something, got in the barrel and launched it at him.
and the thing with Schneider, he came out and he gave his little statement, and he wasn't, being disrespectful in any way. But he and his, because he's always making stuff, he's still very popular. But
Mm.
he put together a little thing where he was doing kind of a cop coming in and clearing a room scene where he just used his gun, and he was coming around a corner and shooting his finger, right, as the gun. And he demonstrated that the CG effects are so clean and so easy and cheap to do these days. He put it together in like a couple of hours to put it on this news program, by the way. That he said it's so easy to do, you don't even need guns on set anymore like that. Full on true prop guns that have no that don't do blanks or anything. You can do that these days. He demonstrated. I don't know how true that is, but it was an interesting point. But anyway, let's move on. It's really unfortunate for Helena and her family. That's for damn sure.
The worst part about it, besides obviously the loss of a life, as aside from that, and aside from the anyone injured or whatever, is the fact that he's going to have no self reflection about this at all. He's not going to take this seriously. He's not going to go and learn gun safety and gun safety protocols,
No.
things he should have learned, the first time he touched a firearm ever in his life, the first time he got in the same room as one. Uh, he's not going to go do those things. There's going to be no self reflection. It's going to be passed off as somebody else's fault, when the reality is it's partially somebody else's fault, but it's also his. You
Yeah.
hold a firearm in your hands, you check that firearm, period. There's no excuse, there's no exception. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a little kid. If someone hands you a firearm, and first of all, if you're handing a firearm to a little kid, you better have taught them how to handle it.
Oh yeah.
And second of all, it doesn't matter. There's no exception. There's no excuse. There's no oops, whoopsie daisy, because now a woman's dead. Period. And he has to face that. He probably never will because he's a narcissist and, somehow he'll be the victim.
Of course.
But
Yeah. Of course.
a normal human being would have to face that and probably have to face legal consequences for it, too.
No, I don't think he will at all. And Joe is putting up a idea for TFT, and the fact that the woman who was shot and killed by Hollywood actor Alec Baldwin on Thursday is the wife of a lawyer involved in the recent Hillary Clinton connected Durham incident, according to
Yeah.
reports. Interesting.
From what I understand, yes, he was one of the people who was indicted by Durham.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. Interesting.
Listen, an assassination from an actor would not be the first time that's happened in the
No,
American history.
it wouldn't be, would it? But whatever. Another thing that kind of caught my eye. It doesn't really matter, but I caught my eye with it was going on about how great a cinematographer she was. Maybe she is. But the fact that and she was a strong, brave woman working in a male-dominated industry. Really, really? That you're gonna do that now? She dead. What does that
Yeah.
matter?
And then you have the people out here who know better, who are making excuses for Baldwin. And that is something I can't tolerate. People who I know are firearms people and are making the excuse that, well, he's an actor. He just trusted the guy who handed him the gun. That's not an excuse.
And it's not how it works anyway, dude. It's not how it works. They have meetings before the shoot where they talk about the gun. They hand the gun around. Everybody who's
Yep.
going to be on the set at that time gets the gun in their hand, and they're told to check it. And then when they get to the scene and they bring the gun up and they hand it to you, they show you it empty. They hand it to you, and you must show them that you see that it's empty. That's the
Right.
process, right?
Yeah.
So how in the hell was there a live bullet, a live gun on set? That that is
That's the
very
question
big
that must
question.
be answered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, um, I wanted to. This is
Ooh.
a section I got set up here. We don't have to necessarily get into every one of the. I put up a whole bunch of articles here.
Let's
I'm not
blitz
really
through them.
looking to talk about all of them. I'm talking about the general concept of these people desperate to have their voices heard, to be seen. But read this
Yeah.
one to start it off, though.
Batwoman crew member speaks out, calls Ruby Rose a dictator. That
All
should
right.
be in quotes, but
It
that's
it
okay.
should be,
Augustine.
but English. But uh, here's the thing. Ruby Rose left. She was quiet. Then they started kind of giving her a little bit of shit. Then she started opening her mouth and complaining and bitching about all the troubles going on. Said it was unsafe, and they promised her that because she was injured, she was going away for an injury, she could come back and pick up the role. They would bring in someone else to do a different character, not her character. Of course, they lied. Anyway, it's a big debacle. But now that she's spoken out and given her truth, there is a long list of people involved with Batwoman that are coming out and just absolutely smashing Ruby Rose. How quick they turn on each other, dude.
Oh, of course, yeah. There's no honor among thieves. And these people are reprehensible. Most of them. They have very little character. It's why when we see an actor with actual character, or producer, whatever, it's refreshing to all of us. It's refreshing to the world, really. Like Keanu Reeves is someone who clearly has integrity,
Yeah,
and an immutable character, or at least immutable characteristics. And that is something that's supremely rare in
yeah,
Hollywood.
yeah.
And there's a lot of actually male actors, not a lot, but more than it seems of the females that are like that. Um, it's just, at this point, it shouldn't even be shocking how fast these people turn on each other because, to be honest, let's just call them what they are. They're scumbags.
Yeah, they are.
And
They are.
they'll do anything to get ahead. They'll hurt anybody else along the way. And they don't care about anyone but themselves.
Yeah. Well, and this lady in particular, she's not they keep trying to push her. She keeps showing up and stuff, and she's just not very entertaining or interesting. She's too scrawny to be the badass you want her to be. The best thing
Yep.
she's ever been in was John Wick, and she didn't say a damn word in that movie,
Yes.
right? And in the end, it played out exactly what it was as it was. She was trying to be this badass, but when she met another professional, John Wick put her down quick.
Yep.
As it should be, right? Now, if you have a trained person, no matter how big they are, with weapons in hand against a standard civilian, they're probably going to win, female or not. But
Yes.
I love that aspect of it because that was realistic, right? That's how it would
Is
be, and she knew she was in trouble too. So the director made sure she had that look on her face. So
as exaggerated as the John Wick movies are, I mean, obviously, he
sure,
kills way too many people by himself. Um, when it comes to the individual fight scenes, they tend to be more realistic. They tend to
yeah,
go, which I think is why people like him so much, right? They're
yeah,
not, he's not picking people up and throwing them through walls and stuff, right? Uh, and that scene was a good example. The way she fights in that scene is exactly how a woman her size would be fighting a man that size.
yep.
She's not going to stand toe to toe with him and throw blows like a kickboxer. She's going to try to grapple him. She's going to get on him and be quick and try to be faster than him
Yep.
and, hit him in his weak spots.
That's right,
And that's exactly what she does.
as you should.
Yeah.
That's why it was fun. But if you watch her in other things, they act as if she's some 7 foot,
Yes.
350 pound, full of muscle man.
Looking like Tyson Fury out here, just
Yeah,
knocking people through walls.
right. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous shit. And you would think they would have caught on with, hey, people like John Wick. Hey, what did she do in John Wick? How did she do? Because it was believable. She was fighting as a woman her size would successfully fight, right? But no, they can't. She's got to be this, because it has nothing to do with fun. It has to do with politics, activism. But anyway, continuing on here.
Gal Gadot provides more details about Joss Whedon threatening to make her career miserable when filming Justice League. Now, the more I hear about Whedon, the more I kind of like him. And the reason I say that is not because he's a likable person, I can tell he's clearly not,
No,
but because he's got some gigantic cojones on him.
he does.
He's a crazy man, and I appreciate that. We need more outlaw style people who will just say crazy things to people and seemingly get away with it. So,
Well, let's be fair. He's far more important than Gal Gadot.
yeah.
I mean, let's be fair, right? He is an annoying, progressive prick. He is. But once again, how quickly they turn. Because now, with there's so much pressure coming on Josh Whedon, and it sounds like he did try to intimidate her. He didn't get what he wanted. We don't know what it was. I think he probably wanted her to do some slinky scene. Probably, I don't know. It was something slinky. I think is from the sound of it, and she was like, "No, I'm not doing that," which I don't know why. You went and sat on a guy's lap and took your panties off to do so. What are you worried
Mm,
about? I mean,
hmm
really? But whatever, Miss Model. But once again, how quickly they turn on each other. And continuing on.
Rose McGowan slams transgender Netflix activists who protest Dave Chappelle's comedy special, You Make Us Hate You.
Okay, well,
Correct.
first of all, correct. But first of all, Ms. McGowan, you are a transgender activist. Have you looked in the mirror recently? Um, but I mean, what happened here? Why, when all of a sudden she decides to speak a different opinion, all of a sudden she's on Fox,
Yeah,
she's with all these Republican pundits. Have we so quickly forgotten that the whole Me Too is coming out of her and Woody Allen's ex?
yeah.
Have we forgotten how insane this woman is? Have we forgotten how much she hates men? Have we forgotten? Really? Really? Because
I
it
mean,
seems
I
like we
haven't.
have, right?
Not this person. But I like. Here's what I like to do, Chester. See, it's kind of like at this point now, I consider Fox News and CNN no different. They're just two sides of the same coin.
Yeah,
So when you have these competing, quote unquote, sides, at least to the general public, right? They're competing. When you have these sides using the same props, which is all she is, to
yeah,
go back and forth between their battles, I just find that entertaining. I'm at the point now where I'm so disconnected from these people's machinations
yeah,
that now when I watch it, I can just look at it kind of like a cartoon or something. I can just
yeah,
enjoy it like a Bugs Bunny. Like, where's this gonna go? And that's kind of where I'm at with Rose McGowan. I don't believe a word of anything she's ever says ever because
no.
she's a known liar and she lies stone faced. She'd make a great poker player.
She's hateful.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but if she's attacking certain angles, she does unfortunately have a voice that can be heard. That's a
yep,
lot louder than mine. So let her go.
yeah,
Let it just do one of these. Just the old dad trick. Just hey, let it happen.
yeah.
They
No,
won't
that's
listen.
true.
They gotta feel.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That's how you teach. Um, the only difference I'd say with Fox over some of the other ones is because they are political pundits as well. Is at least they're honest about it. They don't hide it from you. Hannity will come out and tell you immediately that, yeah, I'm a Republican and I'm sitting here shooting for the Republicans. That's the only difference, really. I guess Tucker probably gets a half a pass because he doesn't really seem to be particularly political. Occasionally you'll see something, but in general, he's just talking about real things. And that's why
Mm.
Tucker's become so world famous and so popular, is because he's not really a Republican like Hannity, right? Per
No, he's
se.
not.
But I get your point, and you are correct. But that is the difference. That's why Fox is a little different, is because at least they're honest about their punditry. However, this lady is a horrible human being, and I don't know why. Just because she decides to say something, she's correct at this moment, but who gives a shit? And I do
Yeah.
love how much Dave Chappelle has stirred the pot, and he is laughing his ass off,
Oh,
dude.
he loves it. Listen, I
Yeah,
told you, Dave Chappelle lives about an hour from me. That's not a joke. I could drive to where he lives right now in an hour. I know where he lives. It's not far. I know what he's doing. He's shit stirring, and then he's laughing his ass off on his
yes, he
ranch in
is.
Ohio.
Yes, he is.
And he knows that's what he's doing, and
Sure,
that's why it's beautiful.
it is.
Listen, me and Chappelle probably agree on very few things when it comes to politics. I can guarantee you that.
Probably.
But we do agree on stirring the shit.
Yeah,
You see, this man has made a career of being the best troll in the world. The only person I've ever seen on a national stage better than him is Trump. The guy's, Mr. Chappelle just knows how to hit the button right where it needs to be hit to just send certain parts of the population into apoplexia.
yeah.
For years, there's people who will just lose their mind over things he does and says, not realizing that he might not even believe it. He might just be doing it just because he knows that's how
He's
you're going to
trolling you.
behave.
Yeah, he's trolling you.
Yes.
Yeah, he is. But it's funny. It is funny. But it continues.
Channing Tatum says he hates how Dave Chappelle I saw this, has hurt so many people. This comedy routine's Channing, buddy, listen.
Yeah,
I get it. You haven't had a major role in like
yeah,
4 years, according to Comic Book Bob over here. That sounds about right to me. I get it. You need relevancy.
yeah,
Chappelle's got it. He'll always be able to come get. And the worst part about Dave is he walked away from it all, and then when he was ready to come back, he just took it again,
yeah,
just like that, like it was his. He said,
yeah,
"This is mine. I'm back in the
yeah,
spotlight." And people like Channing, who have been fighting to stay in the spotlight and get in the spotlight, because I remember following Channing Tatum's career a little bit, he was doing those stupid little dance movies and musicals in the late 2000s. And then he suddenly shifted over to doing action movies. And he had some pretty, he did pretty okay, like the G.I. Joe movie or whatever. And then he just kind of got brushed aside because for whatever reason Hollywood didn't like him.
He's too
And
generic, dude.
and that I think that's what it is. He just has a generic look to him. So they brushed him aside, and basically that was pretty much the end of his career. Then he found a little bit of success in some comedy movies and stuff, and he is kind of funny actor, but he's not a guy like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is a dude who, when he wants to, he gets national attention at will.
Yep.
Like I said, there's only one other person I've ever seen better at it, and that's Donald John Trump. He's the only person I've ever seen that can just get all sides to do something, whether it's for him or against him or whatever. He knows how to hit the button. He knows how to press the button, what buttons to press and when to press them. And it's I don't even think it's like a logical thing that Trump or Chappelle does. It's just something they do. They just know how to piss people off when they want to.
Because it's fun. Get over yourself, dickhead.
Yes, exactly. Hurt so many people. Who's he hurt? He's hurt no one. No one.
Here's the reason why I put this particular one in here. Is all of this noise, if you go and you actually see the section that they're upset about, he's talking about a transgender friend of his who had passed away.
Yep. Yes.
And he's having a loving memory of his friend, and I believe it. I saw the clip. I didn't watch the show, but I saw the clip. I think it's actual friendship, right? And he was making a joke that his friend would find funny, right? And in the end, he was also very supportive of transgenders. So, because politically, he is a lefty.
Yep.
He is a progressive, guys, right? So all this shit they're upset about is literally a gigantic nothing burger. He didn't hurt anybody, Channing. People like you hurt.
Their weaponized empathy is far more dangerous than Chappelle's what's a good way to put it? Defensive sympathy. He does have sympathy for these people. And like he said, he had a friend who went through hell, right? With their dysphoria and things. And he has sympathy for them, but he doesn't allow that to turn into a lethargic empathy like Mr. Channing Tatum has and many people in Hollywood and the left have, where it's performative.
Yeah, no.
I don't doubt that they actually feel it. They probably do feel it, but that's all it is. It's a feeling. No, I bet Channing Tatum actually does. I think he actually believes what he says here. He's just stupid. just because he has a feeling doesn't make it the truth. And I think now obviously not all of them, but I think a lot of them do because they've been conditioned that that's what they're supposed to feel, so that's what they feel. And they don't have the agency like a Chappelle does to control their emotions and be able. That's why he's such an effective troll, because he doesn't let these things anger him. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't allow it to control him and control his interactions with the world. So he just comes out here and says what he feels.
Yeah, does he, or is he simply doing what his wife wants him to say? Because Zoe's been an activist forever.
Oh, Channing Tatum?
Yeah.
Probably both, but at the same time, that still doesn't mean he doesn't feel it. Like that cuck Prince. You understand the only reason he becomes that way is because that's how he feels.
Maybe.
Like, you can't take away people's agency in that regard. The reason they act this way is because they've been conditioned to pretend or to say that they feel this, and because of that, they do actually feel it. Your mind is so powerful, it can make you feel emotions you don't actually want to feel or even really wouldn't normally feel.
I suppose.
And
if you're
I think that's what we're...
shithead.
Well, there you go. That's Channing Tatum.
Toughen up, brother. Roger says, Magic Mike is not a musical. It is to me, Roger. Actually, I'd never even seen Magic Mike. Mike, I saw the full Monty. What do I need to watch Magic Mike for?
Well, and Magic Mike isn't made for us. Let's be honest. It's made for the ladies.
I guess so, yeah.
It's what it's for.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I got no problem with those movies existing. Just like I have no problem with, like, striptease or whatever existing, because... You know, that wasn't made for its artistic rigor.
No. But it goes on, though.
Oh boy, Kristen Stewart tells critics of LGBTQAI2Z7. How many letters do we got now? Representation in
32.
Marvel's Eternals that they belong in the rear view mirror. Listen, Kristen. Listen, sweetheart. Your career's over. Nobody cares. Nobody ever cared. In fact, the most famous you ever were is when you broke Batman's heart. The guy who plays Batman, because you cheated on him with a director who was like twice your age. You slut. Nobody
Yes.
cares what
Yes,
you
I
have to
didn't know
say,
that, but
Miss
I'm not
Stewart.
shocked. Yeah, Miss Boring,
Yeah.
the most boring lady ever to be put. I mean, it's as if she's a gravity well of boringness.
Yes.
Yeah, is she a lesbian now?
Uh, Probably. I mean, it would be par for the course. She needs attention. So, oh, I love women. Yeah, I always have. I can already hear it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all right. Well, moving on. It continues.
The Marvels. That's such a terrible name. Director Nia DaCosta blames Captain America for Thanos' stab. He
Snap.
should have just sacrificed Vision. What?
Okay.
What?
What?
Did she
Huh?
watch Infinity War?
I don't think so.
So is she
And
saying they should have killed Vision
but it's
and just
also
made off with the stone?
well, he did, so okay.
But
But
I mean, it was pretty clear that that wouldn't have mattered because Thanos could follow them anywhere. So what?
yeah,
Why?
and besides,
I
this
don't
was something
understand.
written by your people. So what are you talking about? But of course,
It's,
we know what it is. What is it? It's putting shade on a man
on a
because
white man
yeah, a white man
specifically.
specifically, because their white woman needs to be more popular, even though they clearly don't have faith in their white woman because it's not Captain Marvel, it's the Marvels. Yeah,
Yep.
they've clearly taken a back step, Miss DeCosta, and yeah, you're kind of yeah, you're kind of not doing good. Your Candyman movie that came out didn't go over really well. People
Nah,
didn't like it because it was
nah.
every, you know what the main complaint about that movie was on every review I checked on it? Why is it political? It's a horror movie. Why is it political? Because it was highly political. Just like Halloween Kills. It's getting absolutely raked over the coals because it's a boring piece of political crap. Michael Myers is a simple little slasher movie who kills people.
Yeah,
What is wrong with you?
real easy. Should be real easy to make. Real easy to make,
Real
but they
easy.
can't.
Yeah.
Can't get out of their own way.
But it fucking continues.
Oh, Linda. Wonder Woman actress Linda Carter throws support behind modern gender ideology, claims that trans women are Wonder Women. Well, they're a wonder, all right. Wonder Women. All right, yeah, we can call them Wonder Women. That's fine. Listen, I'm okay with women losing their toys. And if these second wave feminists who don't like the trans stuff, you know, the ones
Uh-huh.
they call TERFs, uh, they don't like losing their toys. So let's take Wonder Woman from them too. Let's get a tranny Wonder Woman in there.
Yep. Yep.
Let's do it.
Yep.
Listen, hey, you came after men's toys for decades. We're gonna let these women. You hear the
Mentally
air quotes?
unstable humans. Yeah.
Come after yours, and
Yep.
we're not gonna stand in the way anymore. We're just gonna let it happen until you learn.
Oh,
Because if you won't
Linda.
listen, you gotta feel.
So she got a little bit of attention in being in a post-credit scene in Wonder Woman, just as a cameo, kind of a nod, wink, wink, wink to the TV
Yep.
show. And she needs more. She's hungry.
Oh, she needs
Linda's
it.
hungry.
Oh,
Uh,
Linda. Linda
and it,
was such a hottie too.
she
Oh,
she's still not bad looking lady. And it
but that's her age.
continues.
Netflix transgender activists demand that Dave Chappelle imagery be removed from the company's offices. They demand it, Chester. How dare you not acquiesce?
Well, you know who demands it? This lady.
Oh, that's a very loose usage of that word. Resurfaced tweets reveal Netflix walkout organizer Ashley Marie Preston. Oh boy, she's a three-namer, huh? Preston's own history of anti-LGBTQ plus AIPXXYZ comments.
Okay,
We have to put the whole acronym in there, Chester, or else we're being racists and
it's
bigots.
true.
All right,
It is
I
true.
don't make the rules.
It's true. Yeah. So says Justin Trudeau.
Yeah,
But Yeah, of course. And I'm ending it on this one because this person, all that nonsense, got to get rid of that black man because he's not walking that line. You see, got to get rid of that black man that's not walking that line because understand that that's what's going on in her head. Understand that shit. It's just like these type of women are constantly attacking Kevin Samuels, Tommy Sotomayor, and any of the other ones that are trying to point out this shit, like Dave Chappelle is. They got to get that black man in line, right? That's what this is. Because clearly she doesn't have much time for lesbians and such, but she's going to jump on him because it has nothing to do with whatever joke she thinks he made. It's because that black man's not in line. That's what she's on about, and so many of them are. Have you paid attention, any of you, paid attention to how absolutely corrupt and disgusting black women have become in America?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
It's
I mean,
insane.
I've mentioned him on here before, and I think Grimlock's mentioned him too. There's a guy you should check out, Chester. His name's Kevin Samuels.
Yeah, I
You
just
will
mentioned Kevin.
greatly appreciate him.
I
Oh, did you?
just
I'm sorry.
mentioned him. Yeah.
I was looking at something else. But no, you're correct. And he's correct. The machinations of Lyndon B. Johnson and his handlers worked beyond any of their wildest expectations. They completely destroyed the black family with what was it called? I don't remember, some nonsense they
Civil
made up.
rights,
The Civil Rights Act, but there was another one after that.
welfare.
The something Great Society. They completely destroyed the black family, and
Planned Parenthood.
the way they did this was by destroying the minds, literally, of the black woman. They are. It's shocking how some of these women carry themselves. It's appalling, really. And it's completely unrealistic. It's completely untenable. They have this narcissism that is beyond anything I've ever seen,
Mm,
and it just doesn't stop. And like Kevin Samuels says, he goes after him pretty hard, but he does it because he also goes after men pretty hard too, if you actually watch him.
he does.
But he does it because it's important and because it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because there needs to be a correction in that community, and I can't do it for him. I'm a white guy; it's not my place. But I can look at it and be like, "Oh, that's yeesh." It needs to happen because
Yeah.
the problems that the black community face start in the home. Denzel Washington himself has said this. It starts
Yep.
at home, and who's
Morgan
raising the
Freeman as
kids?
well. Thomas
The
Sowell.
people raising those boys usually, because those are the ones causing the problems. Is the young black men are black women because the man ain't around.
Yeah.
And you can blame the men all you want for that, and that's partially their fault, but partially it's the women too because they're insufferable. Why would you stay around?
Yeah.
Why would
Well,
anybody?
I would like to quote the great prophetic oracle, Mr. Jefferson, when he said, "Damn, I hate when you honkies are right." But that's a funny thing. You go back to all those black shows that were on when I was a kid. There was a lot of them, dude.
Yep.
Right? And what were they all pushing? Family. Family, 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 family. They were all pushing family. Even ones that kind of separated the black kids out like different strokes and put them with that rich white guy. It was all about family, right? And these days, when you look at the stuff that's going on, we looked at the entertainment talking about the young girls and the things they're doing. It's anti-family. It has radically shifted, radically, right? Because yeah, Fred Sanford and Mr. Jefferson were racists, they were. And that was the point. That was the whole point. We need to work together. We need to be together. We need to be something. They weren't there bashing on the white dudes because they understood that at that time, the 70s, 80s, even with the Cosby Show, that the white people weren't the problem. For them, black people were the problem. And they were demonstrating that. And we talking about Dave Chappelle here, and I specifically because I could have put this little montage together in a numerous ways, guys. I chose Dave Chappelle as the center of it because Dave Chappelle was on something like Saturday Night Live or something. He was on one of those shows, and that's the last time I've ever seen his comedy. He was funny, and he was bashing on black culture harshly because
Yep.
he saw it as a problem and he wanted to fix it. and he wanted to use comedy to do so. And then people like Bill Cosby, Oprah, and other black leaders threatened him and his family and forced him out. You said he left. He didn't leave, he was forced out of the
Well, yes.
industry. And he came back when things had cooled down, and he came back so powerful and so prepared that they cannot stop him now. So he had a plan. That is a man on a mission, Dave Chappelle. And his mission is about the black community. Sorry, white people, whether you like him or not, he doesn't like you probably, but he doesn't care about you. His whole thing is about black community, and that's what he's pushing on, and he continues to do it. And he's a perfect example of these older, even older guys who are bashing on it. You think they're upset by Dave Chappelle? Go watch Eddie Murphy. Go watch Richard
Oh.
Pryor and how much they
Woo!
tear into the black family and the stupidity of it, right? These are black
Mercilessly.
people that are desperately fighting for their community.
Yep.
And what happens? They get absolutely attacked and torn down to the point you can't even have his image around you because this black woman is going to get you, right? As with all the other ones. The black, it's not really our problem. Yeah. But I feel bad for the black community. They got my compassion, but I think they also got my sympathy.
Mm.
So I don't know, man.
Yeah, until more voices are like Kevin Samuels out there in the wild, and they're in the wilderness,
They need more.
uh, it's not going to get better. And he has, and the best part about Kevin is he does this. He does a live show, and he lets people call in, and these, especially black women, they call in. He tears them apart, and they just keep calling in.
Yeah,
It's a level of narcissism that I can't even describe until you see it.
because they're
They
going to
know what they're
teach him.
getting in for.
Right.
Oh, they teach him all right. It's amazing. Like, think about this for a second. Kevin, speaking about Kevin, he is a image consultant, high level one. In New York and Atlanta, he goes all over.
Yeah.
He works with very, very powerful people, very
Yeah.
wealthy people in corporations and things to try and make sure that they look presentable and to keep themselves straight. That's his job. That's what he does. So he assesses people very harshly because he has to. So when these women call him thinking they're going to get him, they're out of their damn mind. This man stands in front of some of the most influential, really influential people in the business world and tears them apart, right? He dresses them down so that they can understand what they need to do to be better or look better or whatever. He does this for a living. That's his job.
Yeah.
Do you honestly, the amount of narcissism you have to call somebody like that and think you're going to outwit them in a battle of barbs, verbal barbs?
No, yeah, that's true. And I know Kevin Samuel, not personally, but I know him because I grew up with a lot of Kevin Samuel type of black people, black
Yep.
guys. And he's the same age as me anyway. But and he's from New England, the East Coast, like I am as well. So I know him well. What he is he whether he's ghetto or not, he's certainly part of that 80s black ghetto culture that went and got Malcolm X'd.
Yep.
That's what he
Cleaned up.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And
yeah,
good
and
on him.
he doesn't take their shit at all. Like, he knows what they're doing. He calls it out, and he tears it apart. I can't remember the acronym he uses, but he has an acronym. I think it's SING. And basically, he just calls out what they do. They shame and they ridicule and things like that instead of addressing what you said. And so many women, not just black women, but women, and now young men, have this, I call it argumentation, but that's not even what it is. Way of engaging in any kind of argument that is so vehemently dishonest because it's intentionally attacking things you're not doing so that you have to try to defend them. And they'll do things like they try and shame you, right? Like we've all seen it, where you get into an argument online, or just even have a comment on something a woman says, and they immediately start talking about the size of your dick, or something like that. They're trying to shame you.
Of course.
And
yeah, that's how they
it doesn't work on men who, one, do not have penis envy, so they're not insecure about it.
Yeah, it never does.
Two, men who know what they're doing, right? They see through their little game. And these women will do things like this to him, and it just doesn't work. And the more I hope a lot of young black men are watching him and
Yeah,
learn how to handle it,
I
because
do too.
it's a
Because
shit test. It's manipulation, and there's only one response to it, and that is aggression. And I don't mean physically, don't beat them, but verbally. You need to take their passive aggressive nonsense and flip it around
and
and
put it
attack
in
it
their face.
verbally.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and they need more people like Kevin and others that I mentioned because in
sign
other
language. That's what it
communities,
is.
but in other communities, like say our community, we have plenty of voices on both sides, right?
Yep.
So you can, if you choose, you can inform yourself and you can follow the path that you feel is best for you. You have that option. They don't have that as much. So I wish them good luck and I hope that they can have success because clearly the most broken culture in America is the black community. And that's sad, man. It shouldn't be that way. There's no reason for that. So hopefully it'll get cleaned up. Kevin Grimlock says Kevin is from OKC. What's that?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. Are you sure? Because I swear to God, he sounds like a New Yorker to me.
Well, he's been in New York for a long, like he goes there a lot, so he may have adopted a lot of their mannerisms.
Maybe. Okay, that's fine. I didn't mean I know him personally, Grimlock. I mean I know that type. I grew up with that type, and keep in mind he's the same age as me. I know that type, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. It can be though. It can be. He seems that he's turned out pretty well, and he's certainly trying to help. He doesn't have to do what he's doing. There's no need for it, right? But he wants to fix something, and good on him for that. But you had to keep in mind those Malcolm Xers. They can be a negative influence, however, because there's a lot of hate going on in there. But whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So he's from Oklahoma City. I didn't know that's how you abbreviated OKC. I've never heard that before.
Yep, yep. Good old Oklahoma. Oklahoma's a strange place because it's it's owned. A lot of the land there is owned by Indians.
Hmm.
Uh, and then the city, like Oklahoma City, are just like every other city, riddled with crime and black people, and that's where all the black people live and stuff.
Yeah.
And then everywhere else is red state, basically white as snow or whatever you want to call it. It's just a strange place, Oklahoma. I know some people who are from that way, and it's a very weird concoction of differing, what's the word I'm looking for? Ethnicities, I guess. Kind of like competing with each other in one state that is. When you think of Oklahoma, you think like the countryest state in the union, but it's not. It's not at all. It's very strange.
It is interesting when you look at those the following 5 decades after the Civil War, and black people, given all of a sudden given freedom, and they're trying to figure out how to deal with that, right?
Yep.
And there was a lot of adjustment and learning that needed to be done. I do find it interesting that for the most part, they just pile over that period of time. They just piled into the cities, and have continued doing that ever since. You would think that they would have gone and kind of got in the countryside and took their own land and did what they already knew. They're farmers, right? And kind of created their own communities. There was a couple of those that popped up, but they didn't really survive well. But I just would have imagined that that would have happened, and the countryside have been where you'd find majority of black people. But it's not. It's not what happened. They all migrated to the cities in general. I wonder why that was, though. Why would they go someplace so foreign and alien to them? They have
I genuinely
skills.
don't know. I
Yeah,
I would imagine the person who could answer that question the best that I would can think of is Thomas Sowell. He
maybe
has multiple books on similar topics. But I don't know. There was a weird migration
there was. Yeah,
that they went through, and they migrated to the north too, into the cities, like you're saying,
they did. Yeah,
and that's where they're pretty much at,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like in
And
Ohio. Ohio's a state with tons of little cities, right? Like mid-sized cities, 10,000 people, whatever. Really small cities. But then the bigger cities is where all of the, the black people or the typically the Asian people and stuff live. and that's where, obviously the concentration of the population is. But then you have a whole bunch of disparate little towns and cities, which a lot of them have grown into cities recently, outside of them. And it's just strange that they pretty much all seemed to have ended up in
Mostly,
the bigger
yeah.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then maybe there was some kind of government incentives that motivated that. I don't know, but it is not what I expected would happen. The Asians in general are different because they're foreigners and they always consider themselves that. Doesn't matter if they're three generations deep. They don't think that way. So I get why they're in the cities. But I just it's just strange. I mean, it has nothing to do with our conversation today, but I just do think it's weird because they had skills. They had actual practical skills. They knew how to do everything necessary to live off the land, to farm. They had all those skills. They could have went and done their own thing and made profit, especially as some kind of collective, right? Initially. And they just threw those skills completely out the window, went to a place that they had that was completely foreign and alien to them, where none of their skills mattered.
Hmm.
It's weird. It is weird, but I'm sure there's a reason though.
Oh,
Joe,
definitely.
yeah, Joe says maybe they migrated to the cities because of the underground railroads helping them escape the south and to the north. Yeah, but I'm talking about after the fact. Because there was
Hmm.
like a 5, 6 decade, it still went on after, but like a 5 or 6 decade period where the black people in America were trying to find themselves, obviously. And They found themselves in the cities. Hal Williams also played. Oh, we talk about something else. Many people went to the cities because of the jobs, factories, etc. I'm sure there were incentives. Traditionally, the city is where you made your way. Joe said, "Yeah, yeah, I get that. I'm just saying that they had actual practical skills.
Hmm.
They really did. I mean, you're saying, well, they're slaves. Well, yeah, but you have to understand
I
how
think a
American
lot of them were
slavery went.
probably. I think a lot of them were probably leaving the South mainly just because of like Jim Crow and rules like that in
Well,
the
they
states
came out
down
later.
there.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so they probably were moving away from that. Plus, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to stay around the people who enslaved me. Uh, I think that's a reasonable reason to get away. But like what you're saying, maybe it was just as simple as Joe's saying. It was just the job availability. So the
Yeah,
farms
yeah, yeah.
up here may have been full. They may just not had anywhere.
Maybe.
No one was hiring, or they didn't want to hire a black person, or
But the
whatever.
West,
So
the
they went to
West was
factories.
still unconquered at that time, though,
That's
right?
true. Yeah.
And I get your point, Joe. I do. And I don't have an answer. I'm asking a question, right? I don't
Yeah.
know. But it just strikes me as odd because like when you look at the Japanese, for instance, some Japanese came to America and they did fall into the cities in general. But maybe it's an American thing because when they Japanese went into Peru and Chile, there was this big push after the war where a lot of incentive was put on Japanese leaving the country and going other places. But when you look at opportunity is in South America, what do the Japanese do there that they're still doing? Farming,
Yeah.
right? But in America, I'm sure you can find a Japanese or a Chinese farmer, but not really a lot. They are in the cities. Like I said, it has nothing to do with today's conversation. It's interesting.
It is
Uh,
interesting. It's a
they
fascinating
do
study.
exist,
I do
yes, yeah.
think we were going to do a TFT this week, but I couldn't really decide, and then a whole bunch of other stuff happened during the week. But I think we could definitely, since next week's Halloween. I don't know if I'll even be on. I probably will, but Halloween is my anniversary.
Oh, I
Um,
see. Okay.
so I might not be. But if I am, we should definitely do a TFT on something very Halloweeny. I think
Well, we could do a TFT on the very expression of Halloweeny.
we could do one on Sam Hain.
We could.
Because it's strange to me, right? You have like these organizations. I saw a tweet earlier from the ADL. The old vanguard of virtue that they are. Um, Talking about cultural appropriation when it comes to Halloween. What are you talking about? You're a Jewish organization talking about a Gaelic celebration.
Yeah.
What are you doing right now if you're not culturally appropriating? That
Yeah.
anybody who celebrates Halloween that isn't Gaelic is culturally appropriating.
Well,
Like,
yeah, we're happy that they do so, though.
yeah, we don't
Yeah.
care, but at the
Uh,
same time, you can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't say it's wrong for a white person to wear a sombrero on Halloween and then celebrate Halloween when you're not from Gaul. You're not of Gaelic descent. It's preposterous.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
think we could.
I hate to be a word Nazi on you, but it's pronounced Sowen.
Whatever. Whatever.
But you know what we could do? Let's talk about Samhain or Halloween, how it became named Halloween, but also how similar it is to all the animistic religions of the past, and how they still celebrate. A very good example here in Japan, they have a thing called Obon, and if
Hmm.
you compare side to side Obon to Samhain, they're identical. Now,
Yeah.
how is that that you have something on the other side of the world from each other, but but literally it's identical? There's a connection there, right? And Soen is one of those interesting little connections you can find in the old animistic traditions. The problem is most of those have been replaced by the more modern religions like Buddhism, Christianity, Islamism, things like that. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about Halloween next week. Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you all very much for coming in. It was a fun conversation today. And these people are desperate, man. They're so desperate. But that's it is what it is. So take
It
us
is
out of
what
here,
it is.
Thunder.
Uh, I don't have much to say. It's a rainy day here in
Yeah,
Ohio.
me too.
Nice, nice rainy day in late October. Nice and chilly. I personally like that. That's the kind of weather. I don't know about the rain part, but I like the chilliness. Um, I hope everybody has a good week. We should see you tomorrow, unless Chester gets busy. But other than
I
that, we should
shouldn't.
see you tomorrow. I will probably be here next week, but maybe not. Like I said, it is my anniversary, so I might be busy with the wife.
That's okay.
I will let Chester know for
Yeah,
sure
I'll give
before
them
one
an
way or the
hour
other.
dissertation on the history of Halloween.
Yes, he will give you your history class, and I hope if I'm not here, I hope everyone does have a happy Halloween. Halloween has become one of my favorite holidays,
Yeah, it's
not just
fun.
because it's my anniversary, but just because I love that the people who hate me the most you hate seem to hate Halloween. So I'm going to just celebrate it as hard as possible in spite of them.
Oh yeah.
So I hope everybody else has a great week, has a great Halloween week. We're on what's it called? There is a name for it. Can't remember, but there's a name for Halloween week, the week leading up to
Halloweeny.
Halloween. Yeah, there you go. Have a good one of those, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Later.